to imagine a different world, imagine that they had magical powers, and just by lifting a finger they could change the things in their community and their culture that make people vulnerable to HIV. So tell a story that describes what you would change and what your new world would be like. And then the last one here, your best friend is living with HIV, but refuses to get any help or treatment because he is afraid of how people might react if they knew. Stigma, rejection, and discrimination, or at least your friend's fear of those things, could kill him. What do you do? So again, imagining young people, putting young people in the position where they imagine what action they will take in that specific situation and how they will respond. Stigma is a major challenge, of course. As I was saying in a class, the undergraduate class today, so much of HIV communication is not just about prevention. It's about challenging preconceptions about what it means to live with HIV and who is affected by HIV and the stigma that surrounds that. One of the story starters in the 2005 contest invited young people to put themselves in the shoes of a person living with HIV and think about what would go through their heads as they looked in a mirror. It was a real effort to get young people to use their powers of empathy to try and break down some of these barriers and some of these stereotypes that not only affect the human rights of people living with HIV, but also undermine the prevention efforts for those young people themselves, because as long as they're thinking of people living with HIV as being very different from themselves, they're not going to get that they're at risk, of course. So I'd like to share with you now the little film that came out of that idea. It's based on ideas from young people from across the continent, actually. I think it's 9 different countries. And those ideas were framed into a draft, and then people living with HIV were asked to comment on that draft and to reframe it. And then the people that you're about to see, my heroes that you're about to see, again determined the final shape of the little film. It's called Reasons for a Smile.
I'm a counselor.
I am the president of an organization.
I am a husband and a father.
I am a wife and a mother.
And we are all living with HIV.
And we are all living with HIV.
The beginning of it all was really hard. The biggest shock of my life.
When I saw my test results, HIV positive.
I just wanted to scream in despair and to cry every tear I had.
I wanted to believe that it was all some kind of mistake, or maybe just a bad dream. That result was like a swan song announcing the imminent end of my life.
I felt alone, like a nomad lost in the desert, tormented by the wind.
Tormented by the wind.
Not knowing where to find water
Or shelter.
Or even a path that would lead me home.
And then, for many days, all I felt was fear and loneliness. I was just empty. I asked myself all the time, why did this happen to me? Why?
Why?
I was afraid of everything. I was even afraid to look at myself in the mirror.
I feared the reaction of my family and friends. Everyone would surely be ashamed of me, so I cut myself off from the rest of the world.
So I cut myself off from the rest of the world.
I blamed myself.
I blamed myself.
And I blamed him too.
And I blamed her too.
The future didn't exist for me anymore. It was all over.
My hopes and dreams had all died.
What good was it to make any plans for the future? It was the end.